What's happening, sports fans? We got another great top recruit to talk to who's going to be representing San Diego really well at the next level. It's Kendall Chapko from Coronado. Don't know why that was such a tongue twister for me. I apologize for the underwhelming introduction for an athlete who, like I said, is going to be representing all of us next year when she goes to play lacrosse at Claremont McKenna. Thank you so much for being on with us. Let's start with your commitment. What went into this decision for you?
For me, academics have always been like a really big part of my life. So I wanted a school that I could have a balance between sports and academics, and Claremont McKenna just like fit that perfectly, along with just the location, the weather, and the school atmosphere itself. Like everything checked those boxes. So I just knew that that would be the fit for me.
So there's no exact science to 36% student, 71% athlete, 8% mental. Like there is no set balance. But for you, what advice, tips, guidance would you give to younger kids out there who do want to go down that road of not necessarily going Power Five, playing at Alabama football, but want to find that good balance of somewhere where they can be happy? What guidance would you give them?
I think definitely thinking about your life after college because um for me, I like lacrosse is what I love to do the most in life, but I also wanted to remind myself like there are other things that you need to focus on too, especially in college because it's such an important like development, a step in your development towards what's going to happen after college. So I think I really wanted that balance, and to me, CMC like had all checked all those boxes. And I mean, it's a really amazing school, but it also has really competitive sports programs. So I think definitely you need to focus a little bit more on being well rounded versus just sports or just academics. So yeah.
What has the experience been like, though, for you athletically at Coronado? Because you're in that upper tier conversation. Lacrosse, not
hmm
necessarily the biggest sport out here, but it's growing at a really quick rate. But there still is a sort of an upper crust, the open division, if you will. Torrey Pines, La Costa Canyon, yourselves, Cathedral Catholic. It's not really deep. There's that upper level. So what has the experience been like for you the last 4 years?
It's definitely I think my freshman year getting put on the field for like starting my first game against I want to say it was Cathedral was definitely you grow really fast playing against these really amazing teams and being one of those top teams. It kind of gives you a little bit of confidence, I'd say, when because a lot of these players you're playing against, you know them, you play them in club or they're on your club team. So I think like being one of those top teams the last 4 years, it gives you confidence, but you also like learn to grow a lot as a player, like both physically on the field and mentally. Because I like vividly remember my first game freshman year playing Cathedral, and I was terrified. But
Oh, so I was going to
like,
ask, do you remember this
yeah,
in a good way because you had a great game and you were like, I'm
um,
so ready for this? Or is it the opposite where you're like, because I had that for my first varsity experience on football where I was just like, oh, I'm not fast enough, strong enough, big enough. This is terrifying. I don't want to leave the field necessarily, but all I'm into
yeah.
not being ready. So why do you
Um,
remember that first one so vividly?
well, being a goalie, I think, like you're kind of your team's always there to support you, but in a way, you're kind of on your own. Like a lot of the stuff you have to do, you don't really get a lot of like no one's gonna help you save an 8 meter or something like that. So being a goalie and stepping out on that field, it was a little daunting at first because I knew a lot of the players. I don't think they necessarily knew who I was, but I knew them from club, and I knew there were a lot of top commits, like D1 commits, and I think like after the first 5 or 10 minutes, though, it gets a lot easier because you're just so focused on the game, you forget like who has the ball, who's taking the 8 meter. I think like I don't remember exactly if I played well or not. I'm not really sure, but I remember like how relieved I was after it was over because after that first game, everything seemed a little bit more. It was just a little less nerve wracking because I think the next game was Torrey Pines, and I remember that team. I think they won that year when I was a freshman, and they had so many amazing players. But my team, our junior and senior classes that year, they were amazing, and I had a lot of really good role models. So I think like after the first 2 games, I said to myself, if I can make it through these 2 games, I can play anyone at this point. So it definitely helped confidence wise. But after the first few minutes of those games, you just like focus on I'm here to play lacrosse. It doesn't matter who I'm playing against. So yeah.
So you brought this up because you mentioned being a goalie, and I didn't want to ask, but I did want to ask because I try to ask this to every lacrosse person. So don't take this personal. This is a generalization question. Are all lacrosse goalies just a little bit mentally unstable? How do you do this like for fun?
Um,
How do you enjoy having people coming straight at you with minimal padding on? And you're like, yeah, I like being between the ball and the goal. Like that's where I'm at my happiest. Why? Explain it to me, please.
so I started playing lacrosse at the end of 8th grade. So when I think I tried out for defense maybe, and they said they needed a goalie, and all that really like registered with me is like, okay, I don't have to run. So
I
that
like it
was
so
why
far.
I decided to. And then, yeah, and then once you get in there, I mean, yeah, it can hurt a lot on occasions. Like I've even like come close to like blacking out like in the crease because I've been hit like so hard in the head before. But once you kind of get past that, you kind of just get used. Like this sounds bad, but you get used to the pain. I don't know how to say that in a good way, but
No, you say that in
it
a way
starts to
that
hurt
sort of
less.
you say that in a way that's perfectly goalie. You're like, I'm almost getting
Yeah.
knocked unconscious, and it's a horrible experience, but at the same time, I love it, and it's my jam. It's just what I do for the team.
Yeah.
Um, it's look,
Yeah. It's definitely I I wouldn't want to play any other position. I honestly like a lot of people say it's such a hard position. How do you do that? But when I see the middies doing like 10 full field sprints a game, I feel like my job is pretty easy compared to that because and especially once you get to playing against the higher level teams, you really don't get hit as much because the shooters will be they can place it a lot better. So I don't get hit very much anymore. When I do, I mean it still hurts, but over the years I've gotten used to it, and I definitely think it'd be harder to play defense or midi or attack in a lot of ways. But, I mean, a lot of people in it might not feel this way, but I think defense is the hardest position on the field because I think it's just so hard to play. And when I see them having to run up and down the field all game in the heat, I feel like where I am is a pretty good situation for me.
well, so okay, so you see the game maybe in a little bit different way than everybody. So weigh in for me, if you will, on the last call it 3 to 5 years, girls lacrosse has sort of been speeding up. The game has been changing a little bit, new restart rules, trying to do less
Mhm.
shooting space, less 8 meet. Do you like the game's direction? Do you want it to be even fast? Or do you want to full blown just play the guys version of the game and give everyone helmets and pads? Where do you see, or where do you want to see the girls version of lacrosse go in the next couple of years?
Sorry, you cut out at
Okay,
the
yeah,
end
I'll
there.
re-ask it. Game is speeding up, restarts are changing, girls are starting to test out wearing helmets. Where do you want to see girls lacrosse go? More physical, faster, or do you like it where it's at? What do you want changed?
I mean, as a goalie, I definitely would like fewer 8 meters. So I'm all for maybe making it a little more physical because already in college, you can play like with a like you can play defense with a horizontal stick, and that's like that makes it 10 times more physical. And I love the not blowing the whistle every 30 seconds because a lot of time, like there will be games where there's just a whistle every 10 seconds, and it really kind of stops the flow of the game. And if and for like really competitive, really good games, I love when they kind of just let us play. I mean, of course, like I don't want people just be allowed to like check each other in the head because like, but I definitely like the self starting and fewer calls on 8 meters, especially as a goalie because those are not like fun. I mean, it's kind of like a penalty kick in soccer. There's a lot of times there's not much you can do. But yeah, I definitely like to see the game kind of growing in a bit more towards the direction that the college game is going to, especially for players who are playing at the next level. I think it'll make that transition a little easier for them too.
We've been in quarantine now for about 40 something days. What has this experience been like for you? No other high school seniors have ever had this. So what has it been like for you?
So sorry, you cut
You
out
lost me again?
again.
Okay. Um, you're the only high school seniors that have ever had your year ended because of a quarantine. What has this experience been like for you?
Oh yeah. It definitely sucks. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but I think with the season ending how it did, I think it makes you like even more thankful for the years you were able to spend playing with your teammates. Because my favorite thing about high school lacrosse has always been my teammates. Definitely, I mean, I love winning, but playing out there with some of my best friends and some of the best coaches I think I'll ever have, I have so many great memories from that, and I'm really thankful I was able to spend the 3.1 years on that team. So yeah, I have a lot of great memories, and it definitely it sucks, and it was a bit of a shock, but it makes you appreciate what you were able to have a lot more.
Well, and we appreciate you sharing that time with, or sharing your time with us, sharing your thoughts with us. And we appreciate you going on to represent San Diego at the next level. Folks, wherever you are, as we do now at the end of these interviews, round of applause or a salute or a thank you and a congratulations to Kendall for moving on to the next level from Coronado to Claremont McKenna. Thank you so much for being on with us. Thank you for watching. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we will talk to you guys next time.